Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to BattleTech Heavy Metal, where I've done a little bit of company customization, found us a more fitting name and a more fitting icon for Return's whole, obviously nonsense zombie shtick. You know, the man has a flair for the dramatic, you gotta appreciate that. So let's talk about how the scoring works a little bit here, because it's going to have a big effect on the decision we're about to make. We get score from just earning C-bills. For each 10,000 C-bills earned over your entire career, you get a point. This is not each 10,000 C-bills you have on hand. It's just anything you've ever earned, even if you've spent it. We also get points for every contract completed, 50 points per point of difficulty on the contract. And when it says point of difficulty, what it means is half skull in the difficulty rating. So a contract can be worth up to 500 points if it is 5 full skulls. Because of these things, and because doing contracts doesn't cost any time at all, every time we go to a system, we want to do every available contract. The only thing that would compel us to move before we are done doing stuff is if we ran out of mechs that were capable of doing the job. So, with that in mind, let's get back in here and do some more stuff. But before we do some more stuff, let's take a look at our mech warriors. We've done a couple of missions here, we've accumulated some experience points, and we can buy ourselves up some new skills. So, immediately I'm noticing that nobody has any gunnery to speak of, so probably we should push gunnery on at least a couple of people. When we buy little pips here, pips of skill, you'll notice that each pip has a sort of a base thing. Points of gunnery increase your chance to hit with weapons. Points of piloting give you more melee hit, and they increase your unsteady threshold. That's the number of bars of stability damage you have to take before you are considered unsteady. Points of guts give bonus health to the mech warrior. This does not affect the health of the mech, and stuff like that. And tactics gives you some tools for dealing with enemies that you can't directly see, like the indirect fire. Lowers your indirect fire penalty with LRMs. But also, at certain thresholds, you gain new skills. Each mech warrior can only have one advanced tier skill and 2 of the lower basic tier skills. So, as we're building up our mech warriors, we have to think, we are thinking about what their combination of 3 skills will eventually be. I really think we need to push gunnery with somebody, so let's have it be Tire Fire. Tire Fire amuses me, and so she gets the honor of having the most important skill. It turns out being able to shoot the enemy, tremendously important. So we're going to push for multi-target really quickly with her. This allows us to aim the mech's different weapons at different targets. There are a lot of situations where it is beneficial to do that thing.
Mech warrior training complete.
And then we should probably have somebody get Bulwark, which causes the damage reduction states to reduce your incoming damage by 20% extra, and eventually Coolant Vent, which allows you to rapidly decrease the heat of the mech. Sometimes you really need Coolant Vent. There are some mech designs that just run so hot. I guess that can be returned. That can be his whole deal. So we'll take him up here. He can be the tank for the moment. A thing I like a lot about using your main character as the tank for your party is that the main character cannot be killed. He can only take very serious injuries that require several hundred days to recover from.
Yes, Commander.
Steam Fitter, I suppose, could be our pilot. I don't know, we just have to pick pretty much arbitrarily pick a specialization for everybody else here. But we would like access to all of the skills eventually.
Training confirmed, Commander.
Ready to rock.
And then you can... We probably should have had him be the piloting guy.
Commander?
Whatever. And then you could also be a guts dude. There's a lot of... We're going to need a lot of overlap. We should probably get somebody up to 3 tactics. That's probably not Trampoline's job. Trampoline builds real naturally into Bulwark, and it's a good idea to have a couple of Bulwark guys on the squad.
Mech warrior training complete.
But we'll build somebody up into Sensor Lock, which allows them to take anything that's in sensor range, anything that we've revealed as a little targeting pylon, and actually find out what it is and give us vision of it until the end of the turn. Sometimes very, very powerful. So we will be picking that up in the near future. For right now, let's just get back out there and wreck some more stuff. So I do love to work for the pirates, and the Capellans don't like us already, so I don't feel bad about going after them again. It is worth noting that both positive faction reputation and negative faction reputation are worth points. The only way a faction can be valueless to us is if they're hovering around 0. So we want to be best of friends or mortal enemies with absolutely everybody, and we're just pushing the Capellans toward that latter thing. I didn't actually read the text of the mission. It's probably important. We're training a group of mech warriors to act as a local defense force, and we'd like you to assist in their training. There's a decommissioned Capellan base we need to take ownership of. As it is undefended, this is a perfect opportunity for our trainees to practice operating as a team in a low-risk environment. Also, I imagine it takes a lot of practice to drive a mech around. Need you to send along a single experienced mech warrior to keep an eye on them. That's interesting, and model good behavior for them. Oh, I don't know if we have anybody who can do that. That's definitely a new mission type, though. So do we get to see? Yes, we do get to see what they are bringing. A commando, a panther, and an urban mech. So these are all mechs that we're basically familiar with. Let's throw Returned in here. I wanna develop Returned as quickly as possible and try to use him as a way of carrying our lesser pilots up. And I'm not just talking about the people who started with lower XP than him in our current party, but also we're gonna hire a whole lot of mech warriors before this comes to an end. We're going to have a pretty stacked team, and it's good to have a couple of people whose job it is to like shepherd the rookies up the ladder. This seems like the kind of setup where afterwards we'll say it was supposed to be undefended, Commander. Okay, yeah, fair enough, Darius. You know what I like about Darius? He doesn't trust anybody at all, ever. It's a valuable trait to have out here in mercenary space. So some people have given me some tips in the comments. Rest assured, if you left a comment on the last video, I did read it. And sometimes I'll even apply the knowledge I was given.
Command interface initiated.
Man, check out, these are pretty cool helmets. I would love to get some of these. So all we gotta do is just walk in there and stand around? The job sounds like bullshit to me. I want to learn how to shoot, not stand around. I don't know, the mission sounds good to me. I need more practice driving this thing anyway. Let's confirm the base is undefended. Commander, move up to this location. You should be able to get eyes on. And can we blow up some of the buildings? Yeah, you know what? Who's going to stop us?
There's creatures living beneath the surface.
Okay, Guano's making me a little bit nervous. I'm afraid he's going to have a little freak out here. Alright, so the Panther with the PPC doesn't necessarily need to come up with the rest of us. It might be wise to just find a nice high spot to post up. That particle cannon has a very impressive range. So we might want to like put him up here. I don't love firing out of the mineral field. Well, I guess up here... No, we have a pretty clean line of sight into the base. It's possible that it's not smart to commit the commando so deep here. Can we jump up onto here? Yeah. I think I want to do this.
Firing jump jets.
I did not bother to check the biome. What are we looking at here? Okay, it's a desert. So not ideal, but it's certainly not the worst of the biomes as far as heat production goes. At least there's some air to bleed the heat off into. I guess maybe what we really want to do with the Panther is end up with it over here on this slope. Can we get anywhere near that this turn? Yeah, alright. It has pretty good jump jets, actually. I'm noticing that these mechs are not well maintained. Maybe I have to be a little bit careful with them. And I think we're going to have Guano just chill for a turn.
Venting heat and stabilizing.
He is way too far ahead of everybody else. Might want to take the same tack with the Centurion. It's kind of a long-range mech. I mean, it's okay at close range. Obviously, it punches quite hard, and that's something that I have a lot of respect for. I do love to mech punch. But I'm a little nervous. This is so obviously a bad idea.
Roger that.
Alright, there's the base up ahead. Looks like our employer wasn't kidding. It's empty. Oh, that sucks. Can I shoot some of the buildings anyway? Actually, that makes it more okay for you to shoot some of the buildings. Huh. Picking up engine signatures, boss. I'm guessing those aren't friendlies, and they're headed our way. Engines? Like mech engines? Oh shit, I don't want to die. Alright, get the Lance into the base, hold out till the employer can get some more people on the ground. Listen. That's not that bad. I did it once. You know, you can come back from it. That's what I'm going to tell him. That's the comforting thing that our commander chooses to tell his teammates at this moment. Everybody dies, son. It's not that bad.
Location confirmed.
I do wish we had jump jets in the Centurions. Like I said, we'll fiddle with these mech designs a little bit once our business on Panzer is done. Well, it doesn't seem like anybody's actually coming at us here. I think we'll just keep this guy near the base, but behind cover. Ready to jump out at a moment's notice. You are maybe okay exactly where you are. The urban mech definitely needs to keep running forward. The Centurion could step up a little bit too, but I think at this point we're fine. Samiri said they were coming toward us, right? Maybe let's have the urban mech step forward a little bit, just see if we can reveal anything. Huh. Sort of seems like maybe there actually aren't any enemies. Maybe it was all a big misunderstanding. I guess we could move the Panther forward as well.
Onward.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here.
Heads up, Commander. You've got hostile
Okay,
contact.
there we go, finally. We can't tell what they are, but we can tell they belong to the Capellan Confederation. Well, I guess let's get eyes on. We could get... Let's see, we could get 1 evasion and high ground, or 2 evasion. I think I prefer the high ground. The best defense, as always, is a good offense. So we got a Panther of our own and a Locust. Not too hard to deal with, actually. And the Panther hasn't moved this turn. Stray shot. Okay, so this is a thing that can happen now. Attacks that fire at a mech that miss can instead hit other mechs on the line of fire or near the target, which is not a thing that was true last time I played. As a thing that was pointed out to me by someone in the comments, and thank you very much for that, because otherwise I definitely would have pasted one of my own mechs without that information. It still probably will happen, but I just want everybody to know ahead of time. I know I'm just bad for when it happens. Okay, pretty decent hit there. Love to hit torso instead of the arm. Alright, he doesn't move on this phase. So can we get you into a raised position where you have a shot at all? Not really? Okay. I'll just walk forward then. To be perfectly honest with you, I suspect, yeah, this shot's going to be very, very poor. Let's not even bother firing the SRMs. We'll try this. So the PPC generates a huge amount of heat when you fire it, but it's quite accurate, and it does a significant amount of both damage and stability damage.
Engaging target.
I hit a tree. Well, I'll tell you what, that tree is definitely less stable than it used to be. Is this really it? I mean, maybe not. Maybe we're gonna get more enemies incoming later. Just seems like not much of an enemy force here. We may as well go after this guy, I suppose. I don't think either of these enemies are particularly dangerous. A slightly better chance of actually doing some damage on the Locust.
Enemy mech. Critical damage detected.
Yeah, hopefully this will be the last time we ever have to do half skull missions, though, because these are going to be total cakewalks. Maybe that's a good thing right now. Maybe that's what we need to get a little bit of starting XP on our dudes. Ooh. Commando took a lot of armor damage, or a lot of structure damage there.
Internal.
Remember, these are not our mechs. We don't actually have to care what happens to them. And as long as we're talking about not caring what happens to them. Do we want to just run in there and we want to shoot him with the missiles.
Yes, Commander.
Yeah, maybe we run up and we fire hard into his back quadrant. I think that's exactly what we want to do. So most mechs are considerably less armored from the back than they are from the front. The 10 points of armor on each of these sections. This should really mess him up. In fact, there's a pretty good chance that this is going to be a kill. Alright, we managed to touch off his SRM ammo bin. Ammo explosions, real bad for your mech.
I'm your spaniel.
Sorry, you're my what? What on earth are you talking about? Why is everybody in space crazy? I guess you have to be a certain amount of crazy to want to get into the giant battle mech. But even so. Alright, we're going to go for a precision strike on this guy, mostly to slow him down for next turn.
Feel my wrath.
Doesn't really matter where we do damage here. I just want to make sure that we're getting, 6 consecutive shots on him before he gets to react.
Confirmed.
Okay, that was a pretty clean shot.
That hit something good.
Any meaningful torso damage? We've almost stripped the armor. We're close. Let's just make sure we're firing into that arc. And this is like optimal Centurion range right here. Well, maybe it could be a little more optimal, I suppose. Racked up his jump jet. He has 5 center torso HP.
Receiving you.
You know what? You could probably finish this off with just about any weapon or also by punching. But let's take it seriously.
Firing.
After all, they're not my missiles. I don't care. I don't care about the replacement costs. Dropship inbound for landing.
Destroyed.
Was that it? Really? I guess so. That was certainly an experience. Darius, I think we should get hazard pay for this kind of mission. Stow it, Meyer. It all worked out fine, and we get paid. This was not very hazardous. I know that there's no, like, contextual determination being made as to whether or not certain lines play at the end of missions, but that does feel a little bit silly, right? Okay, so... Return got 250 whole XP, and I guess we'll just take the mech parts, even though we don't particularly need them. Maybe I'd be better off... We're actually going to get all of the salvage here. There's not even 12 pieces of salvage for us to get, because it was such a small enemy force. Yeah, maybe we should just be taking C-bills on these early missions. Part of me wants to build up a nice supply of mechs, a big broad bench, so that if something gets damaged or destroyed, we don't have to stop doing missions. But this is maybe not the time for it. Missions are just too easy. All right, let's get into the next one. Just barrel through these as quickly as possible. Our munitions factory on Panzer is under threat because of a rumor about a cache of Star League equipment at the site. This malicious gossip about lost tech has brought hungry wolves to our door. We've arranged for a garrison force to be moved into place, but we need mercenaries to protect the factory until they arrive. Got it. Protect the base, and I might actually... You know what? Let's keep 1 piece of priority salvage in case something valuable drops. But yeah, let's do this. So... Put the team back in the thing here. And I think we're going to continue running the same pilots for now. We really want to build up 4 pilots to be nice and strong before we start worrying about anybody else. So this is a Badlands biome. I believe that's not quite as harsh as a desert. Should be a total milk run here. I gotta say, they always start you on an easy planet. The planet you're started on is semi-random. Obviously, they put you on a low difficulty one. But I don't know that they're all as low difficulty as this one is. This is a very, very easy planet. Another thing that we're going to be scored on is the number of planets that we visit over the course of the game. So we do want to go everywhere eventually. I guess it's okay for us to have started here. Apparently we're fighting right away, huh? Our contracted mission is to defend this factory. We have scattered reports of incoming Taurian units. These would be the wolves our employer referred to. All we have to do is not let them destroy all of the buildings. We also have additional support from our employer. They've set up some point defenses, which are offline. But we have a friendly convoy of engineers eager to get into the defenses and get them going. So see that they get into the base safely. Got it. 3 buildings must survive. If all buildings survive, we'll get a bonus. Any objective that has the little crosshair next to it is a bonus pay objective. Well, we can see the first of the enemy units chasing the engineers in here. So we should probably try to do something about that. sadly, there's not a lot the urban mech is going to be able to get into here. I wonder if we maybe want to, since we can't get any shots off here, maybe we just want to reserve down, let the enemy units move in a little bit before we start firing. Oh, this is bad. That Locust is definitely going to get in firing range. It's possible that they won't even bother shooting at the engineers, though. They might have a real single-minded focus on the buildings. I do think we're just going to reserve again. We're just going to let them approach. So one of the groups of engineers must survive. If that APC ends up getting shot down before its turn arrives, it wouldn't be the end of the world. So what is a galleon mount? A medium laser and 2 small lasers. Small lasers are support class weapons. They have a very, very short effective range. Yeah, it looks like these guys are totally focused on the buildings. Well, that's fine for us. And obviously, you know, it's nice that civilian engineers aren't being killed, etc. What I'm mostly concerned about is getting paid, though, if I'm being honest. Alright, so it looks like the incoming enemy force is not very large, probably. This is where we want the Firestarter to run up and start acquiring targets for the rest of us. When I jump forward into the trees, yeah, here we go. This is what we want. We want to jump forward into the trees, lots of evasion, and also a little bit of vision. And man, do I even want to shoot here? I think we might just brace and wait for next turn. It's just the thing is so evasive. Well, alright, let's try to get some damage through. So this shot is just about peeling an evasion charge, but once it's down to like 2 or 3 evasion charges, we might be able to hit it with something. Maybe?
Got a sensor trace.
We got incoming over the hill as well. The fact that whatever that is moves on 2 has me a little bit nervous. Boy, the Centurions started really far away on extremely the wrong side of the map. Well, I think what we probably want to do is try to take up a position here on this wooded hill. So let's run this way.
Have no doubt it will be done.
And these two can just drop LRM pods on this thing. We're not going to hit it, but mostly what we're doing here is stripping evasion charges and hoping to get lucky with the urban mech.
Negative damage.
Because a good AC-10 shot could potentially just kill a Locust in a single hit, especially if its armor hasn't been maintained well. And my guess is that's what we're going to see here. So yeah, a center torso shot for 60 would just kill this thing straight up. This is another thing that sensor lock is good for. Sensor locking an enemy mech removes 2 pips of evasion instead of just 1.
I hear ya.
Actually has some significant utility. I think that's the only shot we're getting? 25%? Well, we did everything we could. This was the best that was available to us. Fingers crossed.
Roger that. Firing on target.
Okay!
Bang! You're dead.
Hard to be angry about that outcome. That was phenomenal, actually.
I hear ya.
Let's see if the Firestarter can maybe put a little bit of pressure on these vehicles. So with vehicles, destroying any section of them destroys the vehicle. Also, vehicles take, I believe, it's either double or triple damage from melee. Okay, melee does double damage to vehicles. Obviously, that's very, very powerful. I kind of want to just fire both the lasers, even though that's going to mean we don't really lose any heat.
Got it.
Okay, both lasers hit the front section. That was fairly likely. There aren't nearly as many places that you can hit on a vehicle, so shots tend to cluster a little bit better. Are we going to be able to get vision of that thing? No, I guess we'll just reserve then. So we've provided enough cover for the engineers, they'll make it inside. APCs will scatter and support you, keep the turrets intact, and they'll keep firing. I don't remember if the turrets come online immediately or if it takes a couple of turns. But either way, obviously that's going to be very helpful. Okay, a Scorpion. Packing an AC-5 and a machine gun. Machine guns are obviously super short range. The AC-5 is like an AC-10, but less damage and greater range. Very killable. Not too worried about this thing. Our own AC-10s will deal lethal shots on almost any... Actually, yeah, if they hit anywhere, they will kill. And we have enough missiles that we don't have to worry about, like, saving ammo or anything. These Centurions are really, like, packed with ammo. Alright, so the APCs are just going to fan out and look for something to shoot at. We should probably do the same thing with our other mechs. And we might want to spread out a little bit, because we have no idea what direction other problems might come from.
Moving, lightning
So let's
back.
do a little bit of that.
What can I do for you?
I kind of like Steamfitter. He's a real goofy dude, but you know, I'd rather...
Pedal to the metal.
I prefer a strong personality over a weak personality, even if the strong personality is very annoying. Alright, well the turrets are definitely online. Turrets always move on Initiative 1. I think your job is just get up here and make this thing visible so that we can hammer it with missiles, even if we can't get clean shots. It's just a striker. Strikers are a little bit more dangerous. Actually, okay, it's not too bad. We had a pretty reasonable shot there. So we did damage to its front section. That's good news for us, because that's the section that's going to be really easy to hit with everybody else.
Going turbo.
These wheeled APCs, I think, have pretty minor weaponry. Yeah, just a pair of machine guns. They're very unlikely to have any meaningful effect on the combat. So let's do this and drop an LRM pod on him. Front armor is actually still pretty strong. There's no way this gets a kill. But the two Centurions together could maybe do enough damage to the front section.
How might I?
Provided that I have an angle on his front. Can't actually tell. Okay, yeah. These are all in the front angle. I just want to make sure we're not out to the side. I want to stay pretty spread out. But this should be fine.
I understand.
So you can see here, when we shoot at him from the front, we have a chance of hitting the front or the left or the right, but the odds of hitting the front are significantly higher, and then you can always hit the turret section.
Locking on target.
So we're certainly not guaranteed to get lethal damage through here. We got pretty close, though. Well, he's made a crucial mistake here, a fatal mistake. It is now 100% trivial for our mech to kill him on our turn, because we could just run up there and stomp on him. Then again, it looks like the turrets maybe have it under control.
I've got eyes on hostile reinforcements. They're heading your way.
Yeah, I figured given the number of turns we have to hold out here, it didn't make sense for that to be everything. Where are we seeing the reinforcements? Aha! Over there. Well, it's a good thing we fanned out a little bit. Fortunately, those guys are in a position to get absolutely murdered by these turrets. So what kind of turrets do we have here? 4 AC-2s. That's a very long range but pretty low damage autocannon. Another guy over there. We have a shredder turret, which is all close range weaponry but very high damage. Yeah, unfortunately, all our little mechs can do is run as fast as possible. All the APCs are also on completely the wrong side of the conflict. And this is a pretty solid attack strategy. If all you're trying to do is destroy some buildings, just like fan out around the city, draw the defenders forward, and then hit things, hit the base from a side that they're not on anymore. And it does mean our urban mech is somewhat likely to never fire a shot. What do they have that's moving on 3, I wonder? Oh, okay, it's just a galleon. These buildings have 175 health. Okay, we should be able to defend this, I think. And it's worth keeping in mind that the turrets are going to do just a huge amount of damage. So I do actually have direct line of sight here. It's a pretty bad shot, but you know what? I am not opposed to spending some precision strike here. Okay. Turns out the autocannon is the solution to all of life's little problems. Very, very unimportant move from the APC. I mean, it's going to have to get within about 20 feet of anything to actually shoot. So are those, hold on, are those 5s? That is an AC5. So the AC5 does 45 damage per hit. It's going to take forever for it to kill that building. Never mind. I was going to say we might actually be in a little bit of danger. But nah, we're fine. Everything's okay. We're pretty unlikely to hit the Locust, but we do have to hit the Locust.
Good to go.
Okay, it's pretty hard to hit the center torso with the first shot from the side, but this has opened the thing up tremendously. It is done for, and then they still have another incoming vehicle, huh? And they do have an LRM pod on that. So that vehicle can't actually see the building. It's relying on targeting data from its teammates. So we could solve this problem by just destroying the Locust and the Striker, and it would have to roll closer before it could take any further shots. They really... I think they left it alive at like... Yeah, 3. It has 3 center torso structure. Ridiculous. Alright, well, the good news is, because we precision striked it, it goes a little bit later in the turn. The bad news is it looks like we... Oh, no, I have a shot from right here. I was going to say, it looks like we still might not have a shot on it. Alright, I'm going to precision strike again. That way, if this misses, we can at least try again with the Centurions before he gets to go. And now, I believe, we have removed line of sight from that vehicle, so it's certainly a less pressing threat.
Double time.
That said, it might also be totally doomed.
What's the plan?
Like, it can definitely see the turrets, and the turrets can definitely see it, but I think it's out of range of the actual buildings. Alright, once again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but the thing is, autocannons always solve all your problems. Area has been killed, Darius has given me the green light to land immediately.
Mission successful.
So, because we accomplished a bunch of bonus objectives there, we're going to get a percentage bonus to our agreed-upon payout. On mission types where you suspect there will be bonus objectives, it really pays to negotiate for high sea bills, because you do not get any bonus contract payment in salvage. Very, very small amounts of XP. And then, is there anything in the loot for this mission that I really want? Not really. An SRM-6, I guess, is maybe more valuable than a piece of a Locust. The Locust is such a bad mech, and they're so incredibly common. Honestly, I'm going to take the SRM-6. It's not a particularly rare part, but it is a part that you want a ton of. We will be equipping a lot of SRM-6s over the course of this campaign. Just a good, solid, heat-efficient way of blowing things up at close range. It's the closest thing that BattleTech has to a shotgun, really. And with missile weapons like that, each of the missiles can hit a different part of the enemy mech. So missile weapons are pretty bad at doing, like, focused strikes, but the trade-off is that they just pump out a ton of damage for a very, very low heat requirement. And they're usually pretty weight efficient as well. What do we have? 1 more? 2 more? 2 more. Let's just go ahead and burn through these real fast. Theft and banditry on Panzer have become a tremendous problem of late, to the point that Restoration corporate interests can't safely move goods over land. We need a mercenary company capable of defending our convoy and blowing stuff up. On it. Always a good time to shoot pirates. I don't love lowering our pirate rep. Man, maybe we don't do the jobs that lower pirate reputation. I'll fight the Taurians. I have no problem with that. We're training a group of mech warriors to act as oh, it's another one of these training missions. Okay, I'm cool with that. Let's go ahead and negotiate it as 1 piece of priority salvage. Send in the commander in the Centurion. Yeah. This is nice and easy. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with our basic loadout. Having 3 AC-10s on your starting team is a big deal, and the Centurion is just a really good all-around combat mech. It doesn't have the terrifying, crushing power of some of the mechs in its class that are specialized in close combat, but it's really nice to have access to a significant number of LRM pods. Our team feels very, very solid. Sometimes you do not get this lucky. There are some mechs in the starting pool that are pretty weak, but I think we pulled all winners. Oh, the loading screen's talking about death from above attacks here. I'm very eager to pull some death from above attacks. We'll talk about that the first time one of them becomes viable. Honestly, we might even want to do it in this mission, since we aren't responsible for some of these mechs. Okay, this seems like it's going to be exactly the same text. I will say, I like these characters. It's just, it is exactly the same text. Wow, they really dropped us off pretty far away from that base.
I'm walking here.
So the biome this time does not have any particular heat modifiers, I believe. The lowland biome. Tends to be very uneven ground, lots of trees and stuff, but frankly, we don't really have to think about cover and sightlines and stuff, like, at all at this point in the campaign.
Moving out.
All that stuff will become more important later, and when it does, we'll worry about it more.
Roger.
Right now, run forward and mash the fire button on all your weapons is a fine strategy. We're going to get him forward as fast as possible because I want to go ahead and spawn the enemies. Oh, hold on a second. This is a whole different problem. Picking up engine signatures, reinforcements headed your way, but also there's turrets, it looks like. Hey Darius, didn't they say that base was decommissioned? Yeah, why? Do you have something? Those are turrets, boss, and they are not offline. They're powered up and pinging me and the Leopard. Turrets! They're gonna shoot at us! Wait, I thought this was... Hell yeah, live fire, baby!
Have something.
Okay, well, I've slightly overcommitted, knowing that there's turrets here. You know what? It's gonna be fine. We'll figure it out. We will get there.
I'm there.
Turrets, obviously, are pretty easy to shoot. They can also be tremendously powerful, though. So let's see here. We're reading 3 turrets. When you can't tell what class something is, usually if you see it on a little turret stand, that's a pretty good indication that what you're dealing with is a turret. Alright, we want to get just close enough to have vision of one of the turrets. I want to be able to shoot at that thing without being retaliated against by the others. So what do we see here? It is a light laser turret. Okay, not a huge threat. Despite what the drawing looks like, turrets actually only have 1 hit zone, so it's just 97 damage must be dealt. Shouldn't be too hard. We actually have a considerable portion of that right here. Okay, well, I'm surprised that we hit with almost everything.
Yes, Commander.
You know, especially with missile weapons, you sometimes have to make allowances for the fact that you may not quite get
Commander?
the number of hits you're looking for.
Aye.
Alright, I think we're going to reserve the Panther. I want to let the enemies move in first and see if we can end up getting any vision on them. And we were told there were engine signatures over there. It may be the case that they're just not close enough to even be a threat right now.
Full throttle.
And because the enemies have no vision of us, they cannot hit us with their long-range weapons, even if they do have relevant long-range weapons.
Just running.
So we are in absolutely no danger here. Eventually, we'll start to run into enemies that have the sensor lock capability, and a force of turrets backed up by sensor lock is considerably more dangerous than one without. It's just another light laser turret. Hopefully this goes as smoothly as last time. Okay, yeah, I saw a number of missiles impact on the trees nearby. That's alright, we
Waiting for orders.
can finish that off. You just need to sprint forward. We're going to finish it off with the Centurion, maybe? Feels like a waste to fire a particle cannon at that thing.
Holding for the right opportunity.
Okay, so we don't see any enemy units actually moving in yet. I guess there's no... Is there any way for us to see the other turret this turn? You have jump jets. Okay, looks like the answer to that is no. So you know what?
Going.
It could be the Panther. It doesn't matter. What I was thinking is we might want to save the PPC for shooting at the other turret, but we're not going to be able to get vision on it this turn, then it doesn't matter. Let's definitely get you way forward. I want to be able to bring that big AC-10 to bear against something here. Oh, apparently they do have... Oh, you know what? The buildings are probably providing vision. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Reporting minimal damage.
Heads up, Commander. You've got hostile contacts inbound.
Okay, that's pretty close. We should try to wrap up the turrets before those guys arrive.
Position confirmed. Here comes the show.
Oh, left it at 1 health. That's very annoying. That right there is exactly the kind of situation that multi-target is made for. You just fire one weapon at that thing's way and then go with the other turret with the other stuff. You know what? I'm going to reserve down. Let's see what this incoming enemy force looks like. So it might only be 2 mechs. Yeah, they had nothing moving on 3, so I think their reinforcements are just 2 mechs. Not exactly terrifying. I'm going to not fire the PPC. As you can see, even though we've done very little, the amount of heat you get from firing a PPC repeatedly can be overwhelming. Missiles, on the other hand. Missiles are very chill.
Standing by.
Alright, we're probably not going to be able to have any effect on the other turret this turn. Yeah, we'll just move up to cover here and brace.
I'm receiving you.
And you will continue full sprinting, and maybe you'll get to the battle before it ends.
Let's move.
Maybe. Alright, I'm going to reserve down again. I want those enemy mechs to move in a little bit. If we move forward and then they move forward, they get to shoot first. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of that. Okay, a Commando 1B. That's a different build of Commando than we've seen before. That one has a large laser on it, which does do 40 damage. It's a serious weapon.
How's it going?
Yeah, I think what I really want to do here is just have this guy run around the back and knock out this turret if we can.
Roger.
Yeah, we had a lot of impact on the cover, unfortunately. Well...
I'm here.
Can the Urban Mech? Yes, the Urban Mech can, in fact, get into position to fire on people. I think I'm going to have it go for the turret. Just thinking with this guy's high evasion. Probably a waste to shoot at him.
One less turret.
Orders?
Okay, and I don't want to speak too soon here, but it is probably the case that we are now effectively out of danger. I just don't have a lot of respect for these tiny little enemy mech lances. So let's precision strike this guy to have at least some chance the PPC makes contact. And another thing that's great about particle cannons is that if they hit, they leave behind a sensor scrambling debuff. It makes the enemy less accurate on their next turn. They can be really, really powerful. We want to fire from a little further back to get the LRMs. We probably want to just get up close. Okay, odds aren't too bad here.
All weapons committed.
Give them everything you got.
There's some chance that this mech could actually do some significant damage to us. That large laser is a dangerous enough weapon that I'm a little concerned. Already taking advantage of that bulwark damage reduction.
Damage minimal.
What's up, boss?
Oh wow, you can actually
Heading out.
get back into position to take a real shot, huh? Okay, well, maybe a real shot is overselling it a little bit. Wow, did I not hit with a single thing there?
Negative damage. Repeat. Negative damage.
I mean, I know we were like at 25 and 30%, but also it was 14 missiles that we fired at him. I was really expecting something to get through. Looks like we have a pretty clean shot from here. It's not exactly ideal, but let's just go for it. I don't want to spend the resolve. I want to keep us above 50%, so everybody's getting that accuracy boost. Okay, that was pretty good. So his sensors are impaired. He has very little center torso health. He's going to get one good volley off here, and as long as he doesn't get lucky and large laser somebody through the head or something... Oh, never mind. I was about to say we could probably still contain him, but he elected not to do damage at all. I sort of want to just run up and punch the Locust. Evasion is not super effective against melee. You can see we have a pretty high chance of landing the punch, and it would be devastatingly powerful. Let's go for a punch to the side. I usually prefer to punch from the side rather than from the front. Even though a punch from the side will almost never hit center torso, a punch from the front is way too likely to, like... There are two arms to hit instead of torso sections, and you're more likely to hit the legs, and... I like to shoot from the side when I can, until our pilots get accurate enough that they can usually hit the thing they're aiming for.
Commander.
What is this cowardice? They should be ashamed of themselves. Unfortunately, the turret stand is going to make it pretty awkward for us to get the shot we want. Yeah, we're not going to be able to do this without it being a little obstructed. We're doing this as much to push his initiative down to 3 as to actually hit him in the center.
Critical hit. Ready for order.
I am confident that with a little bit of extra time we can make this work.
I'm here.
Although, actually, he's managed to move himself into a position where we can't shoot at him almost at all. Alright, you do that for next turn. The Panther at least has jump jets.
They will be
And
done.
solve this uneven terrain problem by just leaping in.
Up high.
You know what? I'm gonna go for the precision strike again. I would just really love it if we would make contact here. There we go. That's all we really needed. His mech was screwed up enough that a hit was likely to be a kill. Alright, are we in a position where it makes sense to do anything other than just run at him? I don't think so. I think we want to just commit hard. We can get behind him, so a hit with any of our weapons is absolutely devastating.
All weapons.
Yeah, like that. A single medium laser shearing off a third of the torso of the mech. And if it doesn't continue to retreat into the water, it's just getting punched to death next turn. No, it's acting like it wants to have a little brawl here. So now that we know that attacks that miss can hit other mechs that are in the way, it's a little bit more dangerous to go for a melee strategy because firing into melee is a bad idea.
Warning. Armor low.
Taking advantage of the weak back armor of every mech. Let's just turn around and clock him.
Engaging physical attack.
Well, that was a little bit high.
No damage detected.
We're just gonna have to hope that we don't have a shot veer off and hit the Centurion. I'll be honest with you. I figured the chances of us missing there were very low. Apparently not low enough. You know what? Let's go ahead and precision strike. Let's see if we can actually make this happen. I would not mind being on the other side of this and headed out to a more lucrative colony somewhere.
All right.
There we go. Our employer is apparently sending in the cavalry. I don't really know what that means in this case, on account of, you know, we trivially destroyed all of the enemies. We never did actually move a friendly mech into the base. Probably, yeah, we want it to be the Panther because it can just jump right up into the hexagon. Okay, there we go. I think we should get hazard pay for these extremely easy missions. The hazard she's referring to here is falling asleep on the wheel of the steering ship, and then the steering wheel of the ship, and then waking up with that leather pattern on her face. It's embarrassing every single time it happens. Well, we managed to put together a little bit of reputation, a little bit of money, and some basic mech parts. A large laser is actually not super easy to come by. Oh, this is another case where we're getting all of it. I don't actually have to choose. There were only 6 pieces of salvage. You can't usually salvage the parts from turrets. I assume they just get too destroyed when you blow the turret up. But that is the last thing that we need to do on this planet. So it's time to move to somewhere else in the star system. Let's, as soon as we can here, let's get the map up, employ these new filters, and see where we can head out. We do have a couple of travel contracts, but they're both very low difficulty. This one would move us to Hero Titus. One Skull is still a little bit on the easy side, but it's worth keeping in mind as an option because they will pay our travel costs. So, Hero Titus is just a One Skull system. It does have a black market, which we can't really take advantage of yet. We gotta get in good with the pirates first. And all of these tags indicate the types of missions and also gear that you might find on that planet. So none of that stuff looks totally great to me. Here, how about we go... Show me the Skull and a Half worlds. Mandalis is a periphery-level civilization, so you're not going to see a lot of good stuff in the store, probably. Recently colonized, small population, all this stuff, I believe, affects how good the planetary stores are. We could go this way instead. There's a low-gravity planet here with a black market. Mining is good. Mining usually, I think mining improves the number of useful mech parts you see in the store. We could also fly over here into the Concordat, where the Taurians and the pirates and the Capellans are all at work. One of the big advantages of doing this would be that we're more likely to find good pirate missions fighting against the forces that we're already fighting against, so we can continue to deepen our negative rep while gaining positive stuff. Ooh, on New Vandenberg, there used to be Star League presence way back in the days of the Star League, which means there might actually be some of that lost tech here. It's fairly common in spacey science fiction settings, and I'm not 100% sure why, for there to have been an era in the past when the technology was really future-y, but now in the present we're less future-y because we had a massive galactic backslide. I don't know why this is so prominent. It's way more prominent in fiction than it is in history. Like, it is a thing that has happened once or twice in history, but it's a real strange thing. But we might want to just fly out to New Vandenberg. Now, New Vandenberg is 33 days away, and that's not entirely ideal, but it's near a cluster of planets that are approximately the right difficulty. It has, again, factions that we would like to work for and against. I think this might be the move. Let's just fly out to New Vandenberg. So, like I said, we get a score modifier for every system that we visit. Flying through a system like this does count, so these 4 systems will all count as visited. And before we key in... No, before we key in, let's get some stuff in the queues. I guess we already have something in the mech queue, right? We have repairs going, but we can also do upgrades to our ship, and we should get something queued up here before we leave. So right now we have some very basic stuff. We can eventually increase our number of mech bays, which will both allow us to run more mechs in the ready state and also give us more tech points. That's a pretty high priority. That would require that we fix up the power conduits, though. The ship can't handle the electrical strain at the moment, which means that fixing the power conduits is actually a pretty high priority. Also, the repair and refit techs are a lot cheaper and faster to complete and still give tech points, so maybe we want to take on one of those first. This would be 20 days, it would be a huge percentage of our total funds, but it's a lot of tech points, and I do like the open... Yeah, I like having the slots open. Let's make this a priority, which means that we have to start by fixing up our power conduits. 10 days, 90,000.
Sure thing.
Not too hard to put together.
Get it done.
Alright, and Dr. Murad will get things done. She is good at her job. So, I think with that out of the way, let's just go ahead and start traveling. We'll want to get some more stuff done on our mechs on the 33-day trip, but repairing the Jenner is definitely top priority. Alright, set a course in for New Vandenberg, 90,000 sea bills, not a problem.
That, Commander.
It's pretty long for our first voyage, but we have some stuff we can do. We can refit our mechs a little bit. The Centurion loadouts are probably not ideal. New mechs and weapons available. Hey, Commander. Talk on Mercnet is that some hot new mechs and weapon systems fell off a cargo ship and are available to folks with the right connections, which is us, apparently. So give the word and a free crate of random new goodies will magically appear in our cargo hold. Or we could travel the straight and narrow, buying them in stores and salvaging them from the battlefield like a bunch of squares. No, gimme that. Obviously give me the crate. So what do we have here? We got an assassin. The ASN-21 lives up to its name, at least against lighter units. Astounding jump capability in addition to ground speed and a flexible weapons package. Poor armor for its tonnage, though, and it's got a pretty low tonnage, so basically really poor armor. And we got some stuff I'm not familiar with, totally new weapons. A UAC-5, retaining the performance niche of the standard model, Ultra AC-5s are a serious force to be reckoned with. So they do the same damage as an AC-5. Oh, they fire twice. It's 2 autocannons. Holy crap, that seems extremely good, actually. They suffer from substantial recoil effects, consume 2 ammo per attack, but that's a very exciting weapon. And then Infernos. Inferno racks are tailored launchers that fire missiles containing napalm. Okay, applying heat, this affects stacks. Inferno rounds are self-contained within the launcher and are fortunately inert until armed. So it has 8 shots, we don't have to lay in ammo for it. It does no stability damage and very, very low actual damage, but it does put on 5 heat. This doesn't seem as exciting. I'm way into that UAC-5 though. That's a cool thing.
That mech you asked for is cleared for fighting.
Alright, let's let the work on the Jenner finish. And then we'll go into the bays and we'll examine our options here. I really want to make sure that Jenner gets up and running. I like the Jenner a lot. It's fragile, but it's powerful. Okay, so now that we've cleared the queue, let's have a look at our toys. First of all, this guy. What is your deal? It's got to load its appearance first, apparently. Okay. So, an intercept system. Ignores 3 points of evasion. Oh, that does make it good against light mechs. Highly specialized predictive trajectory tracking. Okay, that's exciting. It has very few weapons, though. How the hell is this thing supposed to kill anything? So we need to fix this a little bit. So this will be a good time to talk about how mechs actually work. You can see each section of the body has hard points for weapons. Only certain types of weapons can be mounted in certain places. So the right arm of this mech can sustain 1 energy weapon. The right and left torso can each hold 2 missile weapons. So what we could do with this thing... It has pretty low armor overall. But what we could do is maybe strip it down a little bit more and try to make it just an LRM thing. It's good at hitting those smaller, faster mechs. We'll just keep it away from them, and that's how we'll deal with the fact that it's poorly armored. Unfortunately, it looks like we don't actually own a lot of long-range missile bays. We have short-range pods to spare, but what's the tonnage on an SRM-6? 3 tons, and it takes up 2 slots in the body. So we could pull the LRM pod, substituted an SRM pod. We only have room for 1 ammo like this. But SRM bins contain 100 rounds each. So the missile launchers are firing 6 rounds, are firing a total of 8 rounds per shot. Honestly, 1 ammo bin is totally sufficient. We could cut down on the number of jump jets. It probably doesn't need to be quite this maneuverable. And then replace that SRM2 with another 6. So if we go like, let's move some of this stuff into the center torso, why not? Pull the SRM2, so we would have to make another ton of available space. If we cut it down to 3 jump jets, we could do this thing. You know what we could do, actually, is put all of this on this side. And then we could soften up the armor over here. And we could just try to keep the right side away from the enemies. Use the left side as basically just a cushion. I'd prefer to put all the stuff on the same side as the intercept system so we can't lose it during combat, but unfortunately there's no laser hardpoint on this end of it. So this way it cannot fire 10 full volleys. It's firing like 8 full volleys and then change. That's fine. We don't usually have more than 8 actual firing rounds in a battle, so I think this should be okay. We maybe like reduce the armor on this side a little bit and buff up the armor on that side, or honestly we could just leave it since we intend to use the left side to block. I actually kind of like this build. I do kind of wish we could have kept a little bit more jump jet. A jump jet weighs half a ton. How much armor do we have to strip to get that half ton back? It's kind of a lot. Yeah, that arm is going to go down real fast. If we do this, we can replace one of the jump jets in the center torso. I kind of like this build for it. I'd prefer it be an LRM thing, and once we get some LRMs, we can redesign it. But I don't think this is bad. So it's just going to jump in on people, dump all the SRMs, and we're going to have to be real careful about its positioning.
Right. I'll get it in the schedule.
And then let's have a look at the Centurions as well. So the Centurions have an okay build. I think they're overdoing it on the ammo a little bit. You know what? We could probably... what is the weight of a UAC? UAC 5 is 9 tons. The AC-10 that we're wielding now is 12. We only have the 1 slot for an autocannon on this thing. If we pull the AC-10 in favor of the UAC 5, which does more total damage on a hit, although it does spread the damage out a little bit. 2 hits for 45. We only have 1 AC-5 ammo bin. That's a problem. That means we're going to be operating on only 7 full shots. Honestly, that might be fine. And that leaves us with a ton of extra space for other toys. So I'll tell you what I would really like to do is put another LRM bay in this thing. We did just scavenge that LRM-5. So we have 240 LRM rounds. That's way more than we need. We could, actually, we could just try to convert this thing for long-range combat in general. We could pull a medium laser for the large laser. We're gonna have to make up some weight here. But, like, if we do this, we pull one of the LRM bins, that's another ton that we get back. 120 rounds. We're only firing 15 rounds per shot. That's like that's absolutely fine. We don't need that much ammo. And then, we just strip a ton of armor. Maybe even strip more than a ton of armor and throw some jump jets in there. Oh, you know what? We don't have any medium mech jump jets. We can't install any. But yeah, like strip a little bit of armor because this thing's going to tend to be fighting at a distance. We'll just like peel armor pretty evenly off of the different parts here. Actually, this thing's arms are way over armored. We could pull a lot of the armor off of the empty arm in particular. Okay, so this thing's a little bit more teched out for long-range combat now. The UAC has an AC-5 has an effective range of 360 meters optimal, 540 max. Or, yeah, 540. You can see that's a bit of a step up from the AC-10. I'm actually really excited to try this thing out. Here's a problem. Heat efficiency is actually pretty bad. Maybe we should... we don't have a lot of spare heat sinks. Yeah, that's a problem. Go ahead and do this. We'll put this build together. We'll figure out the heatsink thing later.
Logged and noted. Shouldn't
So let's see, that's going to complete in 20 days, and we're going to hit New Vandenberg in 25. We are about to have our first month's pay while we're in space as well, and that is a thing we have to think about. We'll look at it in a second. So do we want to make any other changes while we're here? We could put a small couple of changes in for this guy. I don't think we actually want to change up his weapon loadout at all. Probably not, but like we could pull an LRM ammo. Honestly, we probably don't need both of the AC-10 bins. You know what, we could leave that. But now we could just like, as this guy's a little bit closer range, we could just throw another ton of armor on him, or we could try to, I was gonna say we could try to upgrade his weapon loadout, but not really, right? Not at 1 ton. What I would like to do with this guy is install some jump jets. Alright, we have some like really basic tech that we need to put together. I guess for the moment we could just armor him up. Nah, I don't think it's worth it. Let's not even make any changes. We have quite a lot of good stuff going on here. Let's just do the travel, get to the new system, and we can worry about it there. We're gonna have to buy some new parts. Let's go look at our finances real quick. So we're paying out a pretty small amount of money in total, 227,000 a month to keep the thing running. We shouldn't have any problems. Even taking into account, sorry, this is the screen I want. Even taking into account the expensive upgrade we want to put on after the power conduits, we should still have plenty of money. That said, we have plenty of money for right now. We are definitely going to have to actually get paid at these new planets.
Hey boss, we've just completed those upgrades.
Alright, ship upgrades. Let's get that improved mech bay going.
Roger that, Commander. I'll get the crew moving.
Okay, and that's going to complete just before we arrive. So we still have almost 1 million C-bills. Yeah, we could operate for some time at this funding level. If you're curious about what's going on here, little ships like ours do not have jump drives. A jump drive is a very serious piece of technology. So you have these like mule ships that wait out in space at the jump points, and smaller ships can come and attach, and then the mule ships take care of the actual faster than light travel. This is part of the reason that our travel routes look the way they do and sometimes take as long as they do. Now what have we here? Temporary improvements. Yang arrives at the morning briefing in a foul mood. Commander, if one more pilot shows up to complain that their favorite mech isn't ready, I'm going to pitch someone out an airlock. Darius intervenes. Well, how about we draft some of them to actually help? It might be educational for them and useful for you. Dr. Murad has been deep in thought. The Argo has very powerful systems that are currently offline. If we could get them working, even only temporarily, it might help with the current workload. So because we repaired our power conduits already, we have some options here. We don't really need to worry about the refit harnesses too much. I'm sure this is just going to lower the amount of time it takes. It's going to give us more tech points, effectively. We don't need that. We're already going to finish all of the work we have planned before we hit our next target. So I don't know what this is going to do, but let's temporarily hook up the automation systems. Okay, also a tech point boost for 2 days, whatever. Inner sphere politics impact everything they touch, even out here in the periphery. Flashpoints between the great houses are developing all over the map, and our faction reps are paying good money to resolve them. We're talking about high-risk, high-reward jobs composed of multiple combat drops, with rewards at the end to match. Those are usually very, very good missions to do, and we will consider doing them after we get to New Vandenberg. Right now, all that really matters is getting to our new location and hopefully finding some jobs with a risk and pay level a little bit more commensurate to our abilities. So we still have just 15 days of travel left. I actually really like these slow, languorous travel sequences. I think they drive home something about what it would be like to have to travel these kinds of distances in space that can help you understand the mindset of the characters in your employ.
Top-notch
Ready
work.
to go over financials whenever you are.
Okay, We're totally fine on funding for the moment. So now we can change up our level of pay for our crew and pilots here, and I think it's probably worthwhile to push it. I know that this will leave us in a pretty grim spot after next month's pay, but gaining morale helps a lot because the higher your crew's morale is, can we get the bar for the? Here we go. The higher your crew's morale is, the more resolve you gain each round in battle, which obviously can have a tremendous effect. Also, crew morale at the end of the career mode is one of the sources of score. Oh, hold on. We should probably have ship repairs, ship upgrades in the queue here. There should be some pretty cheap stuff that we have available. Yeah, stuff like this. 270,000 is maybe a little bit high. 450,000 for another 2 tech points. I mean, we could survive 270k. This will feed our mech warriors experience. You know what? Honestly, this might be a good thing to set up early. This set of networked battle pods allows your mech warriors to compete against one another in simulated battles, generating experience for their participating warriors. The earlier you get this set up, obviously, the more effective it is.
I'll get the team on it right away.
And that's a nice, cheap upgrade. So, we gotta make some money at New Vandenberg. We cannot afford to screw this up. That said, it's not all that much more difficult than where we were. I'm sure we'll be okay.
Arrived at our destination, Commander.
Alright, let's check out the store here on New Vandenberg. So there are certain things that are just always... Wow. There are certain things that are just always going to be available, holy crap, in the store. Like heat sinks and jump jets and ammo bins, you know, easy stuff to find. What is this? LB2X. Okay, there's a bunch of new stuff in here since last we played. But what I was about to say is sometimes you can even find, like, mech parts and whole mechs in the store. This is some very impressive stuff. We are nowhere near being able to afford a Battlemaster. But boy, it sure would be cool to have a Battlemaster. This is the sort of thing we're building toward. 85 tons, 7 laser hardpoints, 2 autocannons, a missile bay. It has like 1,200 armor, and it's just... It punches for an amount of damage that has to be expressed in scientific notation. It's all very, very impressive. We could maybe, if we're very lucky, afford to buy that Javelin by the time we leave? Maybe? Let's not stress too much about this. We're just going to depress ourselves looking at these numbers. Let's look at the contract numbers instead. What does this look like? What do we have available to us? Damn Comstar routers. The biggest problem out in space, it's not starvation, it's not stowaway aliens, it's packet loss. So, little known fact about stars, they just love to devour data packets. Ooh, look at all the jobs. Look at all the jobs and how much some of them pay. Okay, I think we're going to do very well here. I'm disappointed to see that there are no missions being run by the pirates against the Taurians, but something tells me the huge pile of sea bills we're going to earn here is going to calm me down a little bit. That is going to have to be it for us for today, though. Come back next time, tomorrow, for some much more difficult and interesting missions, and maybe our first death could happen. And we'll see you then.